They are not getting the message. That's the problem when it comes to young people and distracted driving. And the numbers, they don't lie. In 2010, nearly 3,100 people were killed in crashes involving distracted drivers, and over 400,000 people were injured. Drivers under the age of 20 account for the largest proportion of distracted drivers. And the biggest reason why? Well, because instead of keeping their eyes on the road and their hands on the wheel, they are texting. And that is why CBS 6 News has teamed up with state and local police, area school districts, and business owners in an attempt to get kids and adults to put down the phone and make New York roadways a no text zone. If the facts aren't enough to convince you, maybe this will. Jerry Gretzinger has more tonight.
Hi, Jay. My mate Jules fancies you. Cass, it's not even funny now.
All kinds of money has been spent on recreating distracted driving crashes, and as you can see from this one, some are incredibly graphic as the producers try to drive their message home that texting and driving kills. But kids today are savvy, and they know this is just a video someone with deep pockets paid for. That's why people like J.C. Good and Patty Rakvika are sharing their stories, which are painfully real. Both can recall the days that would change their lives.
I was driving my son to his golf lesson.
It was my college graduation morning, the best morning of my life.
For J.C., now 25 years old, she and her parents were driving home after celebrating her commencement. They never got there. A distracted driver using his cell phone blew through a red light at an intersection. A tractor-trailer swerved to miss that vehicle and hit J.C.'s head-on.
Both of my parents were killed on impact, and I was given about a 10% chance of surviving that night.
Patty and her son both survived their crash caused by a driver who was texting and slammed into the rear of their stopped vehicle.
Spun around, went into the other lane, and was hit by another large work truck in the rear of the car.
Patty's son escaped with minor injuries, but like J.C., Patty suffered broken bones and a traumatic brain injury.
Affects my speech, as you can hear a little bit. It affects my memory. I have very small short-term memory.
She also has trouble controlling her right hand. For J.C., it's much the same, though for her, it's the left side of her body. Both have come to accept their new lives, but not what led them here.
Maybe it happened for a reason. You know, my parents aren't dead for whatever conversation that kid was having. You know, that conversation wasn't more important than my parents' lives. Lots of things then came together to keep me alive.
J.C. has already visited hundreds of high schools throughout the United States to share her story with teens, as she did here at Burn Hill's Ballston Lake High School in May, where she got through at least one young driver who'd been texting and driving with a friend just the day before.
After watching this, I realized it's not all right for me to be texting, and there's lives that I can take, and I can take his life, my own life, and that just scares me.
Patty, meanwhile, has created Drive, an organization dedicated to getting people to get rid of their phones and other distractions when they get behind the wheel.
I let the anger go because it doesn't do any good, so I turned it into, you know, promoting distracting driving, bringing up those dangers that it really is so important. Small things like texting isn't worth somebody's life.
And while no one would debate that, still, people will text and drive. And even teenagers, the #1 offenders, know why. The old, I can do anything, it won't happen to me attitude.
Kids are going to think like that because they think they know everything, but it happens every day.
Jerry Gretzinger, CBS 6 News.
Well, the problem they and others like them struggle with is how do you convince roadway texters to put down their phones? If thousands of deaths and hundreds of thousands of injuries aren't getting the message across, what will? Coming up tomorrow night, we'll hit the highways with police who are right in the midst of the crackdown and put texting drivers to the test to see if they can navigate a road course with one hand while texting with the other.